Hello guys and welcome to the countdown to Christmas on Planet 40k. Now we're going to be doing daily videos from today, which is the 1st, right up until the 24th of December, so Christmas Eve, daily videos with the Necron Vs Tyranids theme. You can probably tell my voice is still a bit raspy. I've still not fully recovered from last week, but December doesn't wait. I've got to just crack on with it. So before we get into today's video, I've just got a few things to sort of announce, if you like. We've got our giveaway ongoing. If you weren't aware of our giveaway, I'll be plastering the link in the top right of your screen now, as well as a little picture somewhere. And it's a free giveaway worldwide. There's 9 epic prizes. The top prize is a combat patrol box of your choice. And there's loads of terrain, there's dice, there's all sorts of epic prizes. So get involved in that. It's free. All you need to do is be a subscribed member. No, be a subscribed person. Subscribe to the channel. Like that particular video and comment on that video. Anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything you want. So yeah, that is the giveaway. Next, I just want to do a little shout out to the Cryptek Council in the Discord and the Hive Mind as well from the Tyranid side. So we've got 2 Discords at the moment. Yeah, shout out to you guys. You've been a huge help throughout this entire year, let alone this countdown to Christmas. So yeah, shout out to you guys. I couldn't have done it without you. The third thing I want to talk about is on the 24th, we're going to be doing like a Christmas special, and we're going to be doing, it's not a Q&A, but it's going to be something along those lines. So if you've got any questions that you want to put through, put them down in any of the videos, and if I find them and they might make it to the video that we do on the 24th, and you'll get a shout out as well. So any questions, 40k related, Christmas related, anything related really, as long as it's clean, of course. Yeah, put them in the comments down below. But yeah, let's get on to the video today. So we're talking about Necrons versus Tyranids. That's the theme of this entire countdown. And we're going to be comparing data cards, codexes, synergy, top 10s lists and all that kind of stuff. Today though, we're going to be doing a combined detachment tier list. So the Necrons have 5 detachments in the new Necrons codex. The Tyranids, who got their codex a few months back, had 6 detachments in their codex. So we're going to be putting them in tiers. The first tier, which is S tier, which is the top tier, is called Tremendous. Well, you can see there's a little running theme here. Tremendous. A tier is Slay What. B tier is Rain It India. C tier, Snow Thanks. And D tier, Forget About It. We're going to be putting all of these detachments into the categories, into the right rows of how I think they are competitively, / just how I feel about them, really. And of course, it's going to be a combined thing, so you're comparing the Tyranid ones to the Necron ones. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with it. Right, so first we're going to be doing the Invasion Fleets, which has hyper adaptations, of course. So they've got the choice of sustained hits 1 against infantry and swarm, lethal hits against monsters and vehicles, or precision against characters. That's of course on critical hits. Now the units to use probably would be, a key unit would be the Hive Tyrant, I think. That's my opinion there. Pros, it's kind of adaptable to all units. Against some factions it'll be absolutely brutal. Especially if they've gone infantry heavy, then you could just pick sustain hits 1, bosh, away you go. But cons wise, it may lead to having a lopsided list. If you've catered towards maybe lethal hits, it means you're going after monsters and vehicles, so you might not necessarily have everything you need as a balanced list. Other cons involved, there's no buffs against like mounted units. It's either infantry swarm, monsters, vehicles, or characters. There's no mounted there, so that's one slight buff, one slight nerf in fact, to having this detachment. Key enhancement wise, the enhancements are decent. There's one that's adaptive biology, that's my personal favourite. You get a 5+ for no pain save on your character, and as soon as he gets damaged, it becomes a 4+. So, for the majority of the game, you have a 4+ feel no pain save, which is good. Key stratagems, you've got rapid regeneration, which is good. You get the 6+ feel no pain save for the unit, or a 5+ within Synapse. Nice. You've got rapid, no, we said that one. Adrenal Surge, which is critical hits on a 5+, which is a nice synergy with the detachment rule. Because if you've got lethal hits, it's now on a 5+. If you've got sustained hits, it's now on a 5+, and so on. And Endless Swarm is another good one, which is to be bringing back D3+3 Gaunts or Gants or Gargoyles, Endless Multitude stuff, which is a great combo if you're taking a Tervagon. But all in all, I think it's a decent detachment. I was struggling where to go with this one. I was thinking between A and B. For now, I'm going to go with A. So I'm going to go with Slay What? I can't even do the what? What? That's my voice gone. Slay What is where I'm going to put them for now. But it is at the bottom of Slay What. Jeez. I hope this gets better through December because I'm going to struggle otherwise. Daily videos, damn. Right, next we've got Awakened Dynasty, which is a Necrons launch index detachment, which is now, of course, in the Codex. It has been severely nerfed. So it's a +1 to hit if you've got a character within a unit. A character leading the unit. Normally you're looking at like the Silvertide, Necrons, Warriors, Immortals. But Warriors have been severely nerfed with this Codex. So it's going to be more like Immortals, really. Until we find a new way to play it. Pros, the rules kind of work on all our main core units. I don't mean to use the word core because that's not a thing anymore, but Immortals, Lichguard, Warriors. Now we've also got the Wraiths involved. They're all of our core kind of units. And it's adaptable to all units, very similarly to the Invasion Fleet, in fact. Like any unit can go in it and be a part of it. It works. So it's kind of like a jack of all trades kind of option. Cons, it's been nerfed as we mentioned. There's a lot of nerfs to having the playstyle of Silvertide, especially with all the reanimation shenanigans that we used to be able to do. It's nowhere near as potent as it was. Key enhancements, we've got the Veil of Darkness still, that's gone unchanged. That's really good, where you can zip off to the other side of the battlefield if you want. And in fact, you're coming off in your opponent's turn, which is making it even better because you get to see your card and do something about it maybe. The Phasal Subjugator, which is the new Sovereign Coronal. It's a +1 to hit aura. That's going to work with vehicles, everything. Just works with everything. It's really good. And you got the Derman Bond, which is a 4+4 no pain save. Doesn't go on the Katana anymore, but the Command Barge is another good option for it. Because the Command Barge has the advanced quantum shielding. And an in-1 save. Pretty tough. Pretty tough. The key stratagem for me is the new Protocol of Eternal Revenant, which replaced the Eternal Guardian. So as soon as we lose a character model, we can stand it back up again. But we do it at the end of the phase now, rather than instant. Because previously we did it instant, and if there was any attacks left over, the character died. Or if there was like another unit that's also charged the same unit and they've got attacks, it just dies. It's just a waste of CP. Didn't work as it should have worked. Now it's at the end of the phase, so he's guaranteed to survive, which is good. So where do I put the Awakened Dynasty? For me, it feels the same. It's sort of in the similar vein as the Invasion Fleet, and it's kind of making me want to put the Invasion Fleet down, because I feel like the Awakened Dynasty is better, even though it works with less stuff. I'm going to put them on par for now. I'm going to put them together. I'm not quite sure how to separate them at the moment. Or should I put it in B? Should I put it in B? I'm going to put it in B for now. This is all just a for now. Because of all the nerfs, I think it's got a feel bad about it. Realistically, it's probably the bottom of A. But there's a bit of a feel bad about it at this moment in time. So I'm going to put it down. Right, we've got the Crusher Stampede next, which is the Tyranids Monster Mash detachment. And yeah, you guys aren't happy with this one, are you? You're not happy at all. So, monsters get a +1 to hit against units below starting strength, and a +1 to wound against units with less than half strength. And this is good for like your card effects, Old One Eye, Horus effects, the Tyrants, Trigons, maybe, like things like that. Monsters, effectively. I just realised that the lights are actually changing. Cool. I didn't know they did that. Anyway, pros. You're making your monsters that are already quite scary even scarier. You know, they're hitting better, they're wounding better. Yeah, they're finishing units off, especially the ones that are below half strength. And Monster Mash is just fun. Cons. The rules only apply to monsters, so having, you know, some Von Ryan's Leapers, it just doesn't do anything for them. Zone Ropes doesn't do anything for them. So it's only really going to apply to the monsters. They've got lack of scoring power because you're putting so many points into these monster models that you've not spread your load to be able to score secondaries and even hold on to objectives. Maybe the Horus Vex can do it. Some of them can do it. Some of them have got a decent OC as well. But really, if you've got like 10, 20 Necron warriors or a Tyrannofex, the warriors all have OC 2 each. I don't remember what the Tyrannofex's OC is, but it's not going to be that, is it? It's not going to be 40. So yeah, lack of scoring power, and the army roll in general isn't great. I mean, a +1 to hit below starting strength means you kind of need to shoot with something else to get them, to chip them down. Because as soon as you charge, you're going to do the work anyway. So you're going to have some shooter units as well as the melee ones. But if they're below half strength, you're already going to flatten them anyway. So I just don't think that's a good enough ability. The enhancements, I'm going to read these out because they're all pretty crap. All of them. I don't like any of these. Enraged Reserves, fight on death on a 3+. You've then got null nodes for a 5+3 and a pain save once per battle against a psychic attack. God, that's awful. Awful. Monstrous Nemesis, +1 to wound versus monsters and vehicles. Kind of clashes with the actual detachment rule, does it not? Not very good. Omnious Presence, +3 OC to a monster character. Actually, that's not too bad, to be fair. +3 OC to a character. I mean, it can't be Old One Eye because he's an epic hero. Can't be the Swarm Lord. It'll only be the smaller ones or the Hive Tyrant. That's the only one that's worth looking at, really. The rest are rubbish. Key stratagems. I mean, you can't even use this again on. It's only on one model, so they kind of suck. But massive impact, basically tank shot for monsters. Yeah, cool. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad, really. Rampaging monstrosities to be able to reroll hit rolls for a monster. I mean, a lot of the monsters either hit on 2s or they're re-rolling hit rolls because of Old One Eye. So, is it really necessary? Not for me. Anyway, where are we going to put this one? I think this is going to be in... Forget about it. I think that's bottom of the pack for me. I was going to say Snow Thanks, but it's not. It's just poor. I think it's bad. Maybe the top of that bracket, but that doesn't really mean much, does it? Obeisance Phalanx. Get my words out. They've got an ability called Worthy Foes. So it's a +1 to wound versus a selected enemy unit. So you select this enemy unit every single battle round. And it only works for Overlord models, Lich Guard models, Triarch Stalkers, and Triarch Praetorians. And obviously an Overlord can go with lead a unit of, say, Warriors, Immortals, Lich Guard, so it would apply to them. I mean, Lich Guard's already there anyway, but... So it's like a bit of an oath of moment for Necrons. +1 to wound, though, is quite powerful. Now, I think it's particularly good for Praetorians because they do stuff in 2 different phases. They shoot and they fight. So I think it's really good for Praetorians. If you like Praetorians, this is the one for you. I quite like the use of the Triarch Stalkers as well because they've got Scout 8-inch. So you can do your Scout move. They've got the Heat Rays, which are effectively like melters. And having a +1 to wound as well. That's nice. They've got their own Invan and all that stuff. So they're pretty tanky. And that Scout move will definitely help. And as mentioned, Overlords can join Immortals. They can join Warriors and Lich Guard. So all of those units can have the +1 to wound. So you could have Tesla Immortals with sustain hits 2 on all their weapons with the Tesla Carbines. Maybe you've got a Plasmancer in the unit, so you've got critical hits on a 5+, and you've got a +1 to wound. And they're re-rolling as well. Don't forget, Immortals actually re-roll their wound rolls. So it feels a little bit like Advocate the Traveller, that. That's the pros. The cons, well, Praetorians don't really have any leaders, so they can't gain any extra buffs, whereas the other units can. And outside of these units, there's not really any buff. If you're taking, like, Canoptek Wraiths, no buffs. If you're taking, Doomsday Art, no buff. There's nothing. Nothing. And also, they actually mainly relate to melee, because the shooty stuff, like Warriors, for example, their weapons have lethal hits. The Immortals do have Tesla, but they also have the Gorse weapons, which are lethal hits. Lethal hits would ignore the wound roll if they got a 6. And the ability here is a +1 to the wound roll. So if you're ignoring the wound roll on critical hits, kind of clashes a little bit, a semi-clash. And finally, the Silent King, the Command Barge, Imitek the Stormlord, and Trezin the Infinite, none of them are Overlords. So they will not count. They don't get the abilities from this detachment, which I think is bizarre. I think they should have, but they don't. Key enhancements. I think the best one there is Eternal Conquerors to reroll hit rolls. So you could be fishing for criticals, especially with the Tesla. If you've got sustained hits too. And you're rerolling everything. Nice. Key stratagems. Enslaved Artifice for 5+ criticals. So it's like having a Plasmancer or a Locust Lord perhaps in a unit. And if you pair that in fact with the enhancement we just spoke about to reroll everything. If you're rerolling everything with 5+ critical hits with sustained hits too. That's good. That's good. Then you're doing all... And they're immortals, don't forget. So they're going to be a +1 to wound. Then you're re-rolling all your wounds. Yeah, immortals are going to be dirty this edition. The final mention is Nano Assembly Protocols for -1 to damage, which is perfect for the Silent King, although he doesn't kind of relate to this detachment. -1 to damage for the Silent King is nice. Definitely something to think about. So yeah, as far as a bracket is concerned, or a tier group for the Obeisance Phalanx, it's not really my cup of tea, but I can see the tactics behind it, but I just don't... I think we've got better ones, so I'm going to go for now. I'm thinking of Snow Thanks, but it is the top of Snow Thanks. It could be potentially up to Rain at India, but I can't tell if I've got these two the wrong way around. Awakened Dynasty and the Obeisance Phalanx. I can't really tell. Obviously, without playing, without the actual codex in our hands, without experience of this new codex, we can't fully understand. I'm only going with what we know. Next, we're on to one of the Tyranid ones, which is the Vanguard Onslaught detachment, which has got questing tendrils. So they've got the advance and charge move for Vanguard Invader units. So that's good for your Death Leapers, your Gene Stealers of the Broodlord, your Neurolictors, Von Ryan's Leapers. All the sneaky bugs. Perfect for this kind of detachment. Pros, they've got a large range of Vanguard Invader units. There's a huge list of them, which means you've got a lot to play with. And there's all those models, in fact, all those units have got a lot of rules like Fight First, Lone Operative, Infiltrators, which obviously adds to, doing what they need to do. Getting into places, fighting first, not being targeted. Stealth as well is another one. Yeah, really good abilities. It's also a very mobile detachment. Very quick. Cons, the detachment rule is only a melee rule, so it's not going to relate to any shooting stuff whatsoever. The enhancements are good, they're decent. Hunting Grounds, you're going to be forcing Battle Shock as soon as an enemy unit arrives from reserves. So that's good against Grey Knights, even Necrons with the new Hyperphase one, which we're going to go through in a moment. If we're using that ability, you could be forcing Battle Shock on rival. Nice. And Chameleonic to give stealth and the benefits of cover to a unit. I think that's a decent one. Stratagem-wise, they're also very good. Assassin Beasts for precision for the whole unit. Now, not everyone is up, not everyone likes precision, but I like precision. I think getting rid of a key buffing character is good. So you could do that if you wanted to for a stratagem. Unseen Lurkers to give a unit Lone Operative. And if they've already got it, it goes to a 6-inch Lone Operative, which is nice. You've then got Seeded Broods. This one's tricksy, so you treat the battle round as if it's one higher. So battle round 1 is like it's battle round 2, which means you can deep strike in turn 1. That's nice. That's really nice. Invisible Hunter, remove a unit from the table at the end of your opponent's phase and put them in reserves. I love that kind of stuff. It's like the Ravenous have that naturally, the Ophidian Destroyers have it naturally. I love that kind of stuff. For me, this is the top. This is top of the tree. This is good. Vanguard Onslaught in tremendous. I love that detachment. That's my cup of tea, and I just love the sneakiness of it and the enhancements, stratagems. They're all good. It's all good stuff. So as it stands, we've actually got one in each tier group, which was not planned at all. But I am still unsure with a few of them. But we're going to keep going if my voice can take it. Go on. I should have brought... Oh, I do have water. Right, let's go. Second half. Where were we? We were on the Annihilation Legion. Annihilation Legion, which is the Destroyer Necron unit. Necron detachment even. And they've got Annihilation Protocol, so you can reroll your charge roll, and if the unit is below half strength, you can get a +1 to that charge. It works for destroyers and flayed one models only. So this is good for Scorpet destroyers with the Scorpet Lord, maybe Ophidian destroyers, obviously flayed ones. Yeah, that's the kind of, there's not really much of a range. We'll get into that in the cons. Pros, you're rerolling your charge roll, so that's quite an uncommon ability for Necrons, to be able to reroll your charge roll. In 9th edition we had it with the Chronomancer, we don't have that now. Flayed ones also benefit from the ability, so it's not just a destroyer only thing, which is cool. It gives them something to have, because they didn't really have much, sort of for a long time now really. They've just been sort of a side piece to Necrons. Cons, we've got destroyers only, well, destroyers and flayed ones. It's very limited. We don't have a large range of units to select from to gain the buffs from this detachment. And not only that, you can half that as well, because this is kind of a melee thing. Charging is a melee thing. So your Locust destroyers, your Locust heavy destroyers, your Locust Lord, that goes with the Locust destroyers, your Hexmark destroyer, none of them are gaining anything really. They don't want to charge. They want to be shooting. They don't want to get into an engagement range. So you're limiting your range of models even more. Overall, I think the actual detachment rule is pretty weak. Getting a +1 to the charge if they're below half strength, I hate all that stuff. It's not for me. And the game plan itself is predictable. Scorpet Destroyer, Scorpet Lord, run up the battlefield, reroll a charge, fight. It's very predictable. The key enhancements, they're all pretty poor, but one of them is okay, which is Soulless Reaper. On a 3+, you can prevent an enemy unit from falling back. So what you would do with your destroyer unit is multi-charge, tag as many units as you can, especially when you're doing your sneaky pile-ins and stuff. That way, if anyone tries to fall back, you can keep them, and then you can fight them in their turn, or in the opposing player's turn, kill them then so that they're free to go again. That's the key enhancement. As for stratagems, they're okay. Mask of Death, -1 to hit the unit, standard stuff. Pitiless Hunters is the 6-inch pile-in consolidation move, which kind of relates to what I was just talking about. You can try and pile in as much as you can and tag other units to get them in. All in all, this comes sort of in the same category as Crusher Stampede. It's pretty bad. It's really bad, in fact. I think Crusher Stampede is actually better. That's how bad it is. I think it's actually better. You've got more range of models, and yeah, it's just not good, Annihilation Legion at the moment. I kind of knew it wouldn't be, but yeah, it isn't. Next, back into the Tyranids, we've got Unending Swarm, which is the Horde bugs, little bugs, gaunts, gants, gargoyles detachment, and they've got unsurmountable odds. So if you lose a single gaunt in a unit, you do a d6 surge move towards the nearest enemy unit, and you can actually use this to get into engagement range as well. So again, that's going to be all your gaunts, your gants, gargoyles, all good for that. Obviously nothing else applies because it's only the endless multitude units. Pros, board control. When you've got so many models with so much OC, you're having board control. You've got lots of free movement within the actual detachment, whether it's the stratagems, which we'll go over in a minute, whether it's the Termagants doing their movement with the Shulking Horrors. As soon as an enemy unit gets close, they can do their move on top of the actual surge move. There's a lot of free movement, which is nice. Cons-wise, all the stratagems are restricted to the endless multitude units. And the enhancements, in fact, are a problem because out of all the endless multitude units, it's only really the Neuro Gaunts, which they're good, don't get me wrong, but they're not really, they're not doing a lot. And the Gargoyles, that can be led. Gargoyles can be led with the Tyranid Prime, which isn't even that good with the Gargoyles because you don't really need it. So as for the key enhancements, Naturalized Camouflage. So you can put this on anything. It's a bit of a strange one. So Battle Round 1, 3 of your endless multitude units can have the benefits of cover. So turn 1, cover. Just going to get you up the board without getting killed. So you could put that on a lone Parasite Immortrex at the back. Doesn't matter where it is. And it doesn't have to be on a Tyranid Prime with Gargoyles. It could be any character. And then you put it on. You put the cover on 3 bug units, and away you go. That one's okay, but the rest are pretty poor. Stratagems are actually good. The stratagems are good. Unending Waves to be bringing back a dead Endless Multitude unit for 2 CP. So you lose an entire bug unit, spend 2 CP, bring it back, put it in reserves. Nice. Swarming Masses, so gain sustain hits 1, and if you've got a unit of 15 or more, you also gain critical hits of a 5+. Also nice. And Preservable Imperative, ignore the blast ability. Of course, if you've got a unit of 20 and blast comes down, you're in trouble, but you ignore it with this stratagem. Good. So, back onto the tier list. What are we doing with this? I'm sort of thinking it's in the B area, which is making me think that Invasion Fleet is too high. It's making me think it's too high. So I feel like I'm going to put that there, and I'm also going to bring that down. I think I'm going to do that. Raided India. Raided India. Right, 4 left to go, and then we'll play around with it. I think that's how I feel about it anyway. This one is my favourite one out of this whole list. The Hypercrypt Legion. So for you Tyranid players that don't know about this, you'll like this one. Well, you won't because you're not us, but you'll like this one. So it's called Hyperphase, and you're going to be at the end of your opponent's turn, you remove a certain amount of units. So if it's an incursion game, you remove 2. If it's a strike force game, you remove 3. Onslaught, you remove 4. You remove them from the battlefield. As long as they're not in engagement range, you remove them, put them in strategic reserves. And you bring them back in if you want to, in your next turn. So this is great for like Death Marks, Hex Mark Destroyers, because they've got Deep Strike. So when they re-enter, they use Deep Strike. They don't need to use strategic reserves. It's good for Catan. But yeah, having loads of Catans with the Feel No Pain save, just popping in and out wherever, that's nasty. Necron Warrior Bricks, 20-man Warrior Bricks, you can move them around. And the Monolith, of course, that's going to be a big key part of this detachment. You'll see in a moment why. It's easy to score secondaries. If you pull 3 units off, then you get your cards, deploy Teleport Homer, Investigate Signal. You've got units all over the place that can do it. Hexamite Destroyer's only got 1 little base, 1 little man. Pop, off it goes. Easy. Easy. Deep Strike units can Deep Strike over and over. We just kind of mentioned that with the Death Marks and Hexamite Destroyer. And we all love Catans. So yeah, this is like the Catan list, I believe. Cons, it's centered around a monolith, which isn't the best, and it's a huge target. So pretty much all the stratagems relate to the monolith, almost all of them. The key enhancement though, for me, which is really good, is the Austriaclave. They did preview this on Warhammer Community. You give the Bear Rat in his unit Deep Strike. So again, that could be an Overlord with some Immortals. It could be a Locust Lord with some Locust Heavy Destroyers. With the Exterminator weapon, the smaller weapon, but that's nasty. You pop them in, shoot everything off the board. As long as they're not in engagement range in your turn, I take them off again. Keep doing it. But the key stratagems, which are also very good, the main one is Cosmic Precision. This one is top tier. Top tier. As far as stratagems go, this is top tier. So you can enter the battlefield more than 3 inches away from enemy units. Now I need to explain this. It doesn't require you to have Deep Strike. It just says anywhere on the battlefield more than 3 inches away from enemy units. So that could be a non-Deep Strike unit, a Deep Strike unit, anyone. So if you've got like a Catan Shard of the Deceiver with OC6, pop him in onto an objective that you're actually holding, but I'm 3 inches away from you. I can take the objective, I can still shoot. I can't charge you, but I can shoot you, take the objective. Maybe it's capture enemy outpost. Maybe it's storm hostile objective. It's brilliant. It's really good for that. It's also going to be good to just block avenues. If I put 20 Necron Warriors down, I could surround a lone model. Maybe you've got, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a lone model like a Death Leaper. I'll just surround it with 20 warriors. You can't go anywhere. You're going to have to fight. And then I'll do Overwatch and all sorts. But yeah, it's a very good stratagem. The Monolith ones, we've got Quantum Deflection for a 4+ Rune of Pain save. No, 4+ Invuln save rather. You've got the, what's the other one called? I haven't got the name of it, but it's one where you can, as soon as I lose a model, let's say I've got 20 Necron Warriors. I lose a model, I can take them off the battlefield and put them within 6 inches of my Monolith. That's cool. Or there's another one where you can pile out of the Monolith and charge from Street Reserves. which is also good. You can do reanimation crypts to use reanimation protocols off the board as well, which they confirm that you can't do that anymore off the battlefield. With this stratagem you can. So yeah, there's a lot of potential in this detachment. A lot. As I said, this is my favourite detachment. However, there is a however here. I don't think it's our strongest one. I don't think it's our strongest one. So is that a spoiler? Maybe. I don't think it's S tier. I think it's got a lot of game in terms of secondaries. It needs a bit of help with the primaries maybe. Depends on the mission of course. But I don't think it's as good as something else. So I'm going to go with the top of Slay. What? Slay what? Can't do it. I really do want to put it in Tremendous. But there's something holding me back. Assimilation Swarm is the Tyranids trying to be Necrons, basically. It's got the Feed the Swarm ability. Harvester units can heal models within 6 inches. Like reanimation protocols, in a way. Now, there are 4 units that can do it. It's the Psychophage, the Horusvex, Rippers, and the Pyrovore. So they're the main units you're going to be using. Pros. Yeah, Nid's trying to do Necron things I put on my notes there. Single 1 model Rippers are cheap. The cheap methods to have a Harvester unit nearby to be healing. However, there's quite a few cons here. You're only limited to the 4 Harvester units. The Psychophage isn't that great. Horusvex is good. But the Horusvex is more of a No Man's Land bully. It's not always going to be around the places you want it to be around. Maybe it will. Rippers are nice and cheap. And the Pyrovore is sort of okay. It's okay. But they're going to be targeted. Because your opponent knows these are your key units, they're going to get targeted. No Harvester unit has Synapse, and none of them have the character keyword, so you can't even put enhancements on them. So that's another problem. As for the enhancements, the key enhancement for this detachment, which isn't great, but it's a biophagic floor. So you make the Feed the Swarm ability 9 inches, not 6 inches, if the bearer is within 12 inches of the Harvester unit. I know, that's a mouthful. So you've got your bearer, 12 inches away, you've got, say, a Ripper, and that Ripper now has a 9-inch aura rather than a 6-inch to be able to heal a unit. So yeah, that's the key enhancement. The rest of them I don't really rate. Stratagems aren't too bad. You've got Tyranniformed, which is sticky objectives. You've got the Carapace one, which is Harvester units get a 5+ Feel No Pain or a 4+ Feel No Pain on an objective. So that's going to help them with their survivability because they're going to get targeted. And you've got Secure Biomass for lethal hits on the unit. And if they're Harvester units, they get 5+ on criticals. I mean, who's using that really? The Horusvex will use it. The Rippers not really. The Pyrovores auto hit, don't they? And the Psychophage is crap. So it's only really the Horusvex. Yeah, this one, I'm thinking snow, thanks. It's not for me. I feel really bad about the Obeisance Phalanx now. I think it's probably slightly better than that. I feel like the Hypercrypt should go up, and everything needs to go up one apart from the Assimilation Swarm. But that's a lot. That's a lot to change, so I'm going to leave it. The penultimate one is the final Necron one, in fact, the Canoptek Court. This one is strong. And their ability is Power Matrix, and Canoptek and Cryptek units get to reroll hit rolls over 1, and if they're within their Power Matrix, can reroll everything to hit. Power Matrix works like your home deployment is a Power Matrix, so your whole deployment area is yours. And if you hold half of the objectives in the No Man's Land, then the whole of the No Man's Land is yours. And if you hold half of the opponent's objectives, then their area is yours. So if they're within their Power Matrix, they're going to be gaining full rerolls, which is a huge, powerful damage buff. Wraiths are a huge unit now because they can be led by a Technomancer that gives them a Feel No Pain save. They've already got a 4+ invulnerable save. They're already quick. Now they're going to be re-rolling ones, re-rolling maybe everything. Wraiths are going to be nasty. Doomstalkers are going to be nasty. They're going to be in their home objective area. So they hit on 4s and they're going to be re-rolling everything with the big weapon. Nice. And that's also in Overwatch. They got a 5+ in Overwatch. Re-rolling. That's nice. Plasmancers with the 5+ critical hits on units that they're with. Immortals, Warriors. Yeah. It's going to be nasty. In fact, yeah, going back to that moment, Plasmancers going with like Immortals or Warriors, that gives critical hits on a 5+, which means your lethal hits on a 5+ with all the rerolls, or your sustain hits 2 on a 5+, critical hits, all the rerolls. You can literally roll the ones that hit but weren't a 5+, just to fish for it, because it's worth it. It's worth it. Everyone gets you 3, so it's worth it. Especially that's with the sustain hits too, of course. Cons: the rule really doesn't apply to non-Canoptek units and non-Cryptek units, so anything that isn't either of those things, the rule does not apply to them whatsoever. Key enhancements: Dimensional Sanctum to give a unit infiltrators. So now those Canoptek Wraiths that we just mentioned can have infiltrate as well. That's good. I mean, the enhancements in general are pretty good. The key stratagems: you got the Eradication one for Devastating Wounds for 2 CP. Give a unit Devastating Wounds. Again, Wraiths, 2 CP, Dev Wounds. Nice. Reactive subroutines: move 6 inches if an enemy unit gets within 9. That could protect your Brick Warrior blob. It could protect your Immortals. It can protect, well, a number of things. Doomstalkers. And then the counter-temporal shift for lone operative on a unit. So if you're not within 12, you're not shooting it. Simple as that. This is a real good detachment. When I first saw the detachments, I obviously jumped on the Hyperphase one, and that's still my go-to. That's still my fun and games. But realistically, the Canoptek Court is the OP one. That's not the right phrase. But if I was to... where did I see this? I think it was Mini Wargaming. One of the guys said it. He said there's 2 types of like lists that are good. You've got like two types of detachment that are good. You've got the ones that win in your local meta, in your local towns. That would be the Hypercrypt Legion. And then you've got the ones that go to actual tournaments and win. That is your Canoptek Court. If you took your Hypercrypt Legion to the big games, the big tournaments, you'd probably not win. I think it's fun. You win most of your stuff locally, but when you go up against the pros, no, they'll know how to tear it apart. But for me, the Canoptek Court is up there. I think it's up there, as in first place. I think it's up there. The rerolls to everything pretty much is nice. It's nice. And then finally we've got the Synaptic Nexus, which is your sort of, what would you call this? A general Tyranids kind of playstyle. It's all about the psychic stuff. And they've got Synaptic Imperative. So each turn you choose one of the following. So you get a 5+ invulnerable save, a +1 to the advance and charge, or a +1 to hit in melee. And they're not repeatable. Once you've used it, you've used it. I'm thinking the Neuro Tyrant is probably a really good option. I did originally think Zone Throats, but none of those abilities actually help a shooter unit. Okay, it has Synapse, so that might help. But other than that, the Neuro Tyrant I think is the one. Pros: it's Synapse driven, which links to your army rule. You're likely going to have lots of Shadow in the Warp options, because that relates to Synapse and characters and stuff. And it's a flexible rule, although it is slightly catered towards melee. Cons: it doesn't really assist the shooter units much, really. Enhancements: they're good. Power of the Hive Mind, a +1 to the strength and +1 to the AP for psychic weapons all game. Again, I'm thinking Neuro Tyrant. Nice. You got the Psychostatic Disruption for a 12-inch anti-deep strike, and on a 4+, you just literally deny them entry. Now imagine you're playing against the Hyperphase Legion, and you just 4+ deny entry. Yeah. And it's a 12-inch anti-deep strike as well. So I can't even use that 3-inch Cosmic Precision stratagem, because you've got that 12-inch block, like infiltrators do. Synaptic Control is a -1 to damage. I thought that's worth a mention. Key stratagems, they're not bad either. Irresistible Will to reroll hit rolls of a 1 and room rolls of a 1. That's probably where the Zone Throats come in. Imperative Dominance to reuse an imperative for a unit for a battle round. So maybe you want to use that 5+ invulnerable save again. Or Override Instincts to fall back and shoot or fall back and charge. Again, I'm thinking Zone Throats. If they get caught in melee, fall back, shoot. They've got crazy weapons. So yeah, for the final one, I'm going to be putting this one in Slay What? Slay What? Now I'm going to have a final look at this before I make my mind up. Because in the middle area, B tier, rein it in, dear. I'm still a bit unsure. I think the Obeisance Phalanx could probably go up to like there even. I just haven't got enough experience with the Unending Swarm to know. So guys, you'll have to let me know in the comments down below. What's your tier list look like? You might find this on Tier Maker, in fact. I think I've saved it as a public template if you want to find it and have a go with it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. I know this has been a long one for the first anyway. It wasn't meant to be. The reason it was is because, yeah, complications with the codex, not getting the codex, and December coming, had to just get on with it. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow with a shorter video. I'll see you then.